Welcome to Relaxed Reddit Readings. Today we have 4 Reddit stories for you. Reddit stories that'll make you question human nature. Story 1. My boss hates that I don't use AI to write emails. So my boss just told me I'm being pretentious because I don't use AI to write my work emails. I know this sounds absolutely insane, but hear me out. A few weeks ago, I decided to add a little line to the bottom of my email signature that said, "This email was proudly written by a human, not AI." I thought it was kind of a nice touch, you know. I've always prided myself on writing really thoughtful, well-composed emails, and I wanted people to know that I was actually taking the time to personally craft each message for them. It seemed harmless enough. But apparently, other people at my company have gone completely overboard with using AI for basically everything. Like, they're using ChatGPT to write simple 2-sentence replies to coworkers. It's gotten so bad that I guess my little signature line stood out like a sore thumb. Well, my boss called me into his office yesterday and he was not happy. He said my email signature was passive-aggressive and pretentious, and that it was making my coworkers feel bad about using AI tools. He told me I need to remove it immediately because it's creating a divisive workplace environment. I tried to explain that I wasn't trying to shame anyone, I just wanted to highlight that I put personal effort into my communications. But he wasn't having it. He said in today's business world, efficiency is more important than whether something is written by a human or not, and that my signature was basically calling out my coworkers for being lazy. The thing is, I genuinely don't think there's anything wrong with being proud of doing your own work. I mean, we're talking about basic professional emails here, not writing the next great American novel. Is it really that hard to write? Thanks for the update, I'll review this and get back to you by Friday, without asking a robot to do it for you? But now I'm second-guessing myself because my boss made it seem like I was being some kind of workplace villain. Maybe I am being pretentious. Maybe in 2024, insisting on writing your own emails is like insisting on using a typewriter instead of a computer. I honestly don't know anymore. The whole situation has me questioning whether I'm just being stubborn or if I'm actually standing up for something that matters. Am I really the problem here for wanting to do my job with my own brain? If you're enjoying these stories, hit that like button and let me know in the comments which story you relate to the most. Story 2. I made an egg sandwich and apparently ruined someone's life. So I made myself an egg sandwich for dinner yesterday and apparently I'm the worst person alive. I feel like I'm losing my mind over this. I'm 19 and I live with a relative I'll call Elle, who's 53. So yesterday, Elle had made herself a fried egg the night before and left the dirty pan sitting on the stove. She specifically told me that if I wanted to make something, I should use that same pan because she didn't want to wash it. Fair enough, I guess. I didn't make anything that night, so the pan just sat there. Fast forward to today, and I'm hungry for dinner. I go into the kitchen and Elle is just sitting at the table playing on her tablet. I see the pan still sitting there from yesterday, so I figure, perfect, I'll make myself a fried egg sandwich. I start cooking my egg, and suddenly Elle looks up from her tablet and goes, "What are you doing?" I'm like, "Making an egg sandwich for dinner." And she absolutely loses it. She starts yelling at me about how I'm being inconsiderate and selfish. Apparently, even though she told me to use the pan, she was planning to use it again herself and I should have somehow magically known this. But here's the kicker, she never said she wanted to use it again. She never mentioned making herself dinner. She was just sitting there playing games on her tablet. She started going off about how I only think about myself and how I never consider other people's needs. Over an egg sandwich. An egg sandwich. I tried to explain that she literally told me I could use the pan, but she wasn't hearing it. She said I should have asked first, even though she'd already given me permission. Then she accused me of being deliberately difficult and said I was trying to start problems. I honestly don't understand what I did wrong here. If someone tells you to use something, isn't it reasonable to assume you can use it? Especially when they're just sitting there not using it themselves. The whole thing escalated into this huge argument where she's telling me I'm selfish and inconsiderate, and I'm just standing there with my half-cooked egg wondering how we got here. Is making yourself dinner really such a controversial act? What was I supposed to do, starve until she decided whether or not she wanted to use a dirty pan that's been sitting there for 24 hours? Story 3. My dog died and my friend called me selfish for grieving. So my best friend just called me selfish for grieving my dog, and I don't know how to process this. Back in January, my 8-year-old dog passed away completely out of nowhere. I came home from work and found him collapsed on the floor. I rushed him to the emergency vet, and they told me his spleen had ruptured from fast-spreading cancer. I had to make the decision to put him down that same day. This dog was literally my entire world. I got him when I turned 18, so we've been through everything together, multiple moves, college, jobs, relationships, breakups. Anyone who knew me knew that dog was my best friend, my constant companion, my everything. After he died, I fell into a really deep depression. I mean, losing your best friend of 8 years will do that to you. I started declining invitations to hang out, I wasn't as responsive to texts, and I definitely wasn't my usual social self. I was grieving hard and I needed space to process this massive loss. Well, apparently my friend took this personally. A few weeks after my dog passed, she confronted me about being distant and not present in our friendship. I tried to explain that I was going through a really difficult time and needed some space to grieve, but she wasn't having it. She actually said that it was just a dog, and that I was using his death as an excuse to be a bad friend. Just a dog. Those words hit me like a truck. Then she went on to say that I was being selfish by withdrawing from everyone, and that my friends needed me too, and I was letting everyone down by being sad. She said I was making everything about myself and my grief, and that I needed to get over it and start being there for other people again. I was absolutely stunned. Here I am, dealing with the worst loss I've ever experienced, and my friend is telling me I'm being selfish for not being emotionally available enough for her. I tried to explain that grief doesn't work on other people's timelines, and that I wasn't deliberately trying to hurt anyone, I was just trying to survive each day. But she kept insisting that I was choosing to wallow instead of choosing to be a good friend. The worst part is, now I'm second-guessing myself. Maybe I have been too withdrawn. Maybe I should be pushing through my grief better. But also, isn't it normal to need time and space when you lose someone you love? Am I really being selfish for grieving on my own timeline? Story 4. Acting coach versus influencer, the meltdown that went viral. So I'm an acting coach and I just had a complete meltdown with a social media influencer, and now I'm wondering if I went too far. I'm 41 and I've been coaching actors for years. Recently, I was hired to work with the cast of an independent short film, and one of the leading roles went to this influencer in his mid-20s. He's got a decent online following which could help the film's profile, but his acting experience is basically limited to a few commercials. After the first day of rehearsals, it was painfully obvious that this guy needed serious work. The director asked me to do some one-on-one coaching with him before filming started. Now, I'm used to working with inexperienced actors, and I always try to be encouraging while still being honest about what needs improvement. But this guy was something else. He had zero preparation, couldn't take direction, and seemed to think his social media fame meant he already knew how to act. During our private sessions, I gave him constructive feedback about his performance, but he kept getting defensive and making excuses. Then, during a group rehearsal, another cast member made a comment about how he seemed unprepared and wasn't taking the work seriously. Instead of addressing the feedback professionally, the influencer asked me directly what I thought. Here's where I probably messed up. I agreed with the other actor's assessment. I said yes, he did seem unprepared, and that if he wanted to be taken seriously as an actor, he needed to put in the actual work that the craft requires. I told him that showing up without having studied his lines or character motivation wasn't going to cut it in this industry. Well, he did not take that well. He got incredibly angry and started yelling about how I was supposed to be supporting him, not tearing him down in front of the other actors. He accused me of being jealous of his social media success and said I was a failed actor taking out my frustrations on him. Then he stormed out. Later, he confronted me privately and demanded an apology. He said I'd humiliated him and that as his coach, I should never agree with criticism of him in front of others. But I doubled down. I told him that coddling him wasn't going to make him a better actor, and that if he couldn't handle honest feedback, maybe acting wasn't for him. Now the production is in chaos, and I'm wondering if I should have handled this more diplomatically. Was I right to be brutally honest, or should I have protected his ego? If you enjoyed these stories, drop a comment telling me which one was your favorite. And if you want more relaxed Reddit readings, make sure to like, subscribe, and hit the bell so you never miss a video. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed these stories, like, comment and subscribe for more relaxed Reddit readings.